Hi, Sophie. Welcome to our podcast series about learning English with podcasts. In your favorite channel, English Practice Podcast,
Hi, Ryan. I'm so excited to start this journey together.
me too. Today, let's talk about why podcasts are great for learning English.
Yes, podcasts help us listen to natural English every day.
Listening regularly improves our understanding of spoken English.
And podcasts cover many topics, so we learn new words easily.
What kind of podcast do you like to listen to?
I like podcasts with simple conversations and stories. They help me practice listening and speaking.
That's a good choice. I like podcasts about daily life and culture.
Me too. They make learning fun and interesting.
Do you think podcasts are good for all levels of learners?
Yes, beginners can start with easy podcasts, and advanced learners can listen to longer, harder ones.
Exactly. We can choose podcasts based on our level and goals.
Do you listen to podcasts every day, Ryan?
I try to. Even 10 minutes a day helps a lot.
That's great advice for beginners. Start small and be consistent.
Yes, consistency is key when learning a language.
What do you do when you don't understand a word or phrase?
I pause and repeat the sentence slowly. Sometimes I write new words in a notebook.
That's helpful. I also try to guess the meaning from the context before looking it up.
Good idea. Guessing helps us think in English more naturally.
Do you think podcasts help with pronunciation?
Definitely. Listening to native speakers helps us learn correct pronunciation and intonation.
And you can repeat sentences aloud to practice speaking.
Yes, shadowing is a great technique. Repeat immediately after the speaker.
It can be hard at first, but it improves fluency over time.
What about vocabulary? How do podcasts help you learn new words?
Podcasts use everyday language, so I learn useful words and phrases I can use in real life.
I like that too. Also, podcasts expose us to slang and expressions we don't find in textbooks.
That's true. It helps us sound more natural when we speak.
Have you ever listened to a podcast more than once?
Yes, repeating episodes helps me understand better and remember new words.
Same here. Listening multiple times is very helpful.
Do you use transcripts with podcasts?
Sometimes, reading while listening helps me connect sounds and spelling,
I like transcripts because I can check words I missed.
but don't rely too much on reading. Listening is more important.
Yes, balance is important.
What devices do you use to listen to podcasts?
I use my phone and headphones. Sometimes I listen in the car.
I like listening on my computer at home or while walking outside.
Podcasts are very flexible. We can learn anytime, anywhere.
What time of day do you usually listen to podcasts?
I like mornings because it helps me start my day with English.
I prefer evenings. It relaxes me after work and helps me remember words.
Both times are good. The important thing is to listen regularly.
Yes, even 5 or 10 minutes a day can improve your English a lot.
Do you listen to podcasts with subtitles sometimes?
Yes, some apps have subtitles or transcripts which are very useful.
That helps beginners understand better without losing interest.
That builds confidence to listen without stopping.
Do you have any favorite podcasts for English learners?
I like English Daily because the episodes are short and clear.
I enjoy Simple English Stories because they tell fun stories in easy English.
Stories are a great way to learn because they are interesting and memorable.
Yes, and they teach new vocabulary naturally.
What advice would you give to someone who is new to learning English with podcasts?
I would say start with easy podcasts, listen a little every day, and don't worry about understanding everything.
That excellent advice. Be patient and keep practicing.
Also, try to repeat some sentences to improve your speaking.
Absolutely. Practice speaking aloud.
I'm excited to learn more with podcasts. Thanks for chatting, Ryan.
Thank you, Sophie. Let's keep learning together.
Part 2. Improving Pronunciation and Vocabulary with Podcasts.
Hi, Ryan. I'm ready for part 2 of our podcast learning series.
Hi, Sophie. Great to see you back. Let's dive deeper into how podcasts can help with pronunciation.
Yes, pronunciation is important. When I listen to podcasts, I try to copy the way speakers say words.
That's called shadowing. It helps your mouth get used to English sounds.
Sometimes I practice difficult words many times until I get them right.
Me too. Repetition is key for muscle memory.
Have you noticed that native speakers use different intonation and stress?
Yes, listening to podcasts helps you hear the natural rhythm of English.
I think intonation makes speaking sound more natural and interesting.
Exactly. For example, rising intonation at the end of questions.
Or stress on important words to show meaning.
Do you practice speaking along with the podcast episodes?
Yes. I pause after sentences and try to say them myself.
That's excellent practice. It improves both pronunciation and fluency.
What about accents? There are many accents in English.
True. Podcasts expose you to different accents like American, British, Australian, and more.
At first, some accents were hard to understand, but now I'm getting better.
Same here. The more you listen, the easier it becomes.
Do you recommend focusing on one accent or listening to many?
I think it's good to focus on one at first to build confidence. Later, listen to various accents to be flexible.
That makes sense.
Another tip, listen actively, not just in the background. Try to understand and repeat.
Yes, active listening helps us learn faster.
What about vocabulary? How do you learn new words from podcasts?
I write new words in a notebook with their meanings. Then I review them often.
I do the same. Also, I try to use new words in my own sentences.
Using words helps them stick in your memory.
Do you think podcasts teach grammar too?
Sometimes, yes. When we hear correct grammar in conversations, we learn without studying rules.
That's natural learning. Hearing grammar in context.
I find it easier than memorizing grammar charts.
Me too. Podcasts make learning grammar more fun.
What do you do if you don't understand the whole podcast episode?
I listen again and again. The first time I try to get the main idea, later I focus on details.
Sometimes I slow down the speed of the podcast to understand better.
Many apps let you change playback speed. It helps beginners a lot.
Yes, slower speed is good at first, then normal speed later.
Do you practice speaking with a partner or alone?
Both. I repeat sentences alone and also talk with friends when I can.
Speaking with others helps build confidence.
And podcasts give us topics and phrases to use in conversation.
Do you ever record yourself speaking?
Yes. Listening to my own voice helps me notice mistakes and improve.
That's a great tip for all learners.
How do you stay motivated to keep listening every day?
I set small goals like listening to one episode a day.
Rewards help too. Like treating yourself when you complete a week of practice.
Joining online groups with other learners also motivates me.
Community support is important.
Have you noticed improvement since you started listening to podcasts?
Definitely. My listening and speaking skills are much better.
Same here. I'm more confident when I talk in English now.
Podcasts help us hear real English, not just textbook language.
Yes, they teach practical and everyday English.
Do you have a favorite episode so far?
I like the one about daily routines. It used simple words and clear sentences.
That was a good episode.
For beginners, simple topics are easier to understand and practice.
As you improve, you can try more challenging podcasts.
Have you ever used podcasts with quizzes or exercises?
Yes. Some podcasts include questions to test your understanding.
That's very helpful for learning actively.
Do you think podcasts are better than watching videos?
Both are good, but podcasts let you focus on listening without distractions.
Podcasts are also good for multitasking, like while walking or cleaning.
Videos help with visual learning, but podcasts are more flexible.
I agree. It's good to use different resources for better learning.
What advice do you have for learners who feel shy speaking English?
Practice speaking aloud with podcasts at home first. No one is listening.
That helps build confidence before talking with others.
Remember, making mistakes is normal and part of learning.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to speak.
Do you have any favorite apps to listen to podcasts?
I like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. They have many English learning podcasts.
I use Podcast Addict. It has good features like speed control and sleep timer.
Sleep timers are great if you want to listen before sleeping.
How long should beginners listen to podcasts each day?
Start with 5 to 10 minutes. Gradually increase as you get comfortable.
That's a good way to avoid feeling overwhelmed.
Quality is better than quantity. Focus on understanding, not just time.
Do you think learners should write summaries of podcast episodes?
Yes, writing helps reinforce what you learned.
Even short summaries in simple English are useful.
You can also try to retell the story or conversation in your own words.
That's a great way to practice speaking and writing together.
What about using podcasts to prepare for exams?
Podcasts improve listening and vocabulary, which helps in exams like IELTS and TOEFL.
Some podcasts focus specifically on exam skills.
Those are very useful for test preparation.
Do you have a favorite podcast for exam practice?
I like IELTS Energy Podcast. It has tips and sample questions.
Me too. It helps learners understand the exam format.
Listening to podcasts regularly builds overall English skills.
And makes learning enjoyable and less stressful.
What's your favorite way to review new words from podcasts?
I use flashcards with apps like Anki to review vocabulary.
Flashcards are great. I also try to use new words in sentences every day.
Using words helps transfer them from passive to active vocabulary.
Active vocabulary is important for speaking and writing.
Listening to podcasts gives us many new words to practice.
Thanks for these great tips, Ryan.
Thank you, Sophie. Let's keep helping our listeners improve.
Part 3. Choosing the right podcasts and staying motivated.
See you next time for part 3.
Bye, everyone. Keep listening and practicing.
Hi, Sophie. Ready to continue our podcast series?
Hi, Ryan. Yes, I'm excited to share more tips about learning English with podcasts.
It's great. Today, let's talk about how to choose the best podcast for your level.
That's important. Beginners should look for podcasts with simple words and slow speech.
Yes, and podcasts that explain new words and grammar clearly.
Intermediate learners can try podcasts with more natural speed and everyday topics.
And advanced learners can listen to podcasts with complex ideas and fast speech.
Do you recommend listening to the same podcast series or different ones?
I think it's good to follow a series for continuity, but also try different podcasts for variety.
Variety helps us learn different vocabulary and accents.
What about podcasts with transcripts?
Transcripts are very helpful for reading along while listening.
They help learners understand difficult parts.
Have you ever used podcasts with quizzes?
Yes. Quizzes help check comprehension and make learning active.
Do you think listening to podcasts is enough to improve speaking?
Not by itself. We also need to practice speaking aloud and have conversations.
Podcasts can give us useful phrases and pronunciation practice to use in speaking.
Exactly. They prepare us for real-life conversations.
How do you stay motivated when learning English with podcasts?
I set small goals and reward myself when I reach them.
I join online groups where learners share progress and encourage each other.
Community support is very motivating,
Do you ever get tired or bored listening to podcasts?
sometimes. To avoid that, I choose topics I like and take breaks when needed.
That's good advice. Enjoy learning to stay motivated.
How do you practice speaking using podcasts?
I repeat sentences aloud and try to act out conversations.
Role playing is a fun way to practice.
I also record myself and listen to improve.
Listening to yourself helps find mistakes and improve pronunciation.
What about vocabulary learning? How do you review new words?
I use flashcards and try to use new words in my daily conversations.
Practice is the best way to remember vocabulary.
Have you noticed any improvements from listening to podcasts?
Definitely. My understanding and speaking have improved a lot.
Same here. I feel more confident in real conversations.
What advice would you give to beginners?
Start with easy podcasts and listen daily, even if only for a few minutes.
Don't worry about understanding everything. Keep practicing.
Use transcripts and repeat aloud to improve speaking.
Join communities or find partners to practice conversation.
What about advanced learners?
Challenge yourself with harder podcasts and try to summarize episodes.
Engage with the content by asking questions or discussing with others.
Do you use podcasts for exam preparation?
Yes, especially for improving listening skills.
Some podcasts focus on exam tips and practice.
Those are very useful for learners preparing for tests.
How do you keep track of new words and phrases?
I keep a vocabulary notebook and review it regularly.
Using apps like Anki helps with spaced repetition.
How often should learners listen to podcasts?
Daily listening is best, even for short periods.
Consistency beats long but irregular sessions.
What's your favorite podcast topic?
I enjoy stories and travel topics because they're interesting and practical.
I like interviews with native speakers. They show natural conversation.
Podcasts expose us to different cultures and ways of speaking.
Do you think podcasts replace books and classes?
No, they complement other methods and focus on listening and speaking.
Classes provide structure, but podcasts offer flexibility and variety.
What's your favorite tip for podcast learners?
Be patient, practice regularly, and enjoy the process.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Learning is a journey.
What apps do you recommend?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Podcast Addict.
Use headphones for better focus and sound quality.
Try to listen actively and take notes when needed.
Practice speaking aloud and record yourself.
Join online groups or language exchanges.
Choose topics you enjoy to keep motivation high.
Review vocabulary and use new words daily.
Set small, achievable goals.
Celebrate your progress no matter how small.
Thanks for listening. We hope these tips help you.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing English every day.
Part 4. Overcoming Common Challenges in Podcast Learning.
Hi, Sophie. Ready for part 4 of our series?
Hi, Ryan. Yes, I am excited to share more ideas about learning English with podcasts.
Today, let's talk about common challenges learners face with podcasts.
Good idea. One challenge is understanding fast speech.
Yes, native speakers often talk quickly, which can be hard to follow.
To solve this, I slow down the playback speed in my podcast app.
That helps a lot. Listening at slower speeds lets you catch more words.
Another challenge is vocabulary. Sometimes the words are too difficult.
When that happens, try to guess the meaning from context before looking it up.
It's important not to stop and look up every word. It breaks your listening flow.
Right? Focus on understanding the general idea first.
What about staying motivated? Some learners give up after a few days.
Setting small goals like listening 5 minutes daily helps maintain motivation.
Also, choosing interesting topics keeps learning fun.
If you get bored, try different podcast styles like interviews, stories, or news.
Sometimes background noise makes it hard to hear.
Using good quality headphones can improve sound clarity.
Another issue is feeling shy to practice speaking.
I suggest practicing alone first by repeating sentences aloud.
Recording yourself and listening can boost confidence.
Joining language exchange groups can also help overcome shyness.
Do you ever get distracted while listening?
Yes, so I try to listen in a quiet place without multitasking.
That's good. Active listening helps retain more information.
How do you review new vocabulary after listening?
I use flashcards and try to use new words in daily conversations.
Practice is the best way to remember vocabulary.
Have you noticed any improvements from listening to podcasts?
Definitely. My understanding and speaking have improved a lot.
Same here. I feel more confident in real conversations.
What advice would you give to beginners?
Start with easy podcasts and listen daily, even if only for a few minutes.
Don't worry about understanding everything. Keep practicing.
Use transcripts or subtitles if available to support your listening.
Practice speaking by repeating phrases and recording yourself.
Join language groups or find conversation partners.
What about advanced learners?
Challenge yourself with harder podcasts and try to summarize episodes.
Engage with the content by asking questions or discussing with others.
Do you use podcasts for exam preparation?
Yes, especially for improving listening skills.
Some podcasts focus on exam tips and practice.
Those are very useful for learners preparing for tests.
How do you keep track of new words and phrases?
I keep a vocabulary notebook and review it regularly.
Using apps like Anki helps with spaced repetition.
How often should learners listen to podcasts?
Daily listening is best, even for short periods.
Consistency beats long but irregular sessions.
What's your favorite podcast topic?
I enjoy stories and travel topics because they're interesting and practical.
I like interviews with native speakers. They show natural conversation.
Podcasts expose us to different cultures and ways of speaking.
Do you think podcasts replace books and classes?
No, they complement other methods and focus on listening and speaking.
Classes provide structure, but podcasts offer flexibility and variety.
What's your favorite tip for podcast learners?
Be patient, practice regularly, and enjoy the process.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Learning is a journey.
What apps do you recommend?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Podcast Addict.
Use headphones for better focus and sound quality.
Try to listen actively and take notes when needed.
Practice speaking aloud and record yourself.
Join online groups or language exchanges.
Choose topics you enjoy to keep motivation high.
Review vocabulary and use new words daily.
Set small, achievable goals.
Celebrate your progress no matter how small.
Thanks for listening. We hope these tips help you.
See you next time. Keep practicing.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing English every day.
Part 5. Building a daily habit and long-term success with podcasts.
Hi, Sophie. We've reached the final part of our podcast series.
Hi, Ryan. It's been a great journey so far. Let's finish strong.
Today, let's talk about how to make learning English with podcasts a daily habit.
That's important. Habits help us stay consistent and improve over time.
One way is to set a specific time each day for listening.
Like morning during breakfast or evening before sleep.
Yes, it makes learning part of your daily routine.
Another tip is to choose podcasts that interest you personally.
When you enjoy the content, you're more likely to keep listening.
Do you use reminders or alarms to help remember?
Yes, I set phone reminders to make sure I don't forget.
Apps also let you create playlists for easy access.
What about mixing podcasts with other learning methods?
That's a good idea. Combine listening with reading and speaking practice.
Variety keeps learning fresh and engaging.
How do you keep track of your progress?
I keep a journal to write what I learned and new words.
That's motivating. Seeing progress encourages you to keep going.
Do you have any favorite motivational quotes for learners?
Yes. Practice makes progress.
I like small steps every day lead to big results.
What do you say to learners who feel discouraged?
Don't give up. Learning a language takes time and effort.
Remember that every minute you spend learning counts.
Celebrate small successes and keep going.
Do you have any tips for improving speaking confidence?
Practice speaking aloud regularly, even if you're alone.
Record yourself and listen to improve pronunciation.
Join language groups or find conversation partners.
The more you speak, the easier it gets.
How can learners stay motivated long term?
Set goals like understanding a full podcast episode or having a conversation.
Reward yourself when you reach goals to stay motivated.
Keep reminding yourself why you want to learn English.
What's your favorite part about learning with podcasts?
Listening to real English from different people and places.
I like the flexibility to learn anytime, anywhere.
Do you have any advice for learners just starting?
Start with simple podcasts and listen a little every day.
Don't worry about perfection. Just keep practicing.
Use transcripts and repeat aloud to improve speaking.
Find topics that interest you to make learning fun.
Remember, consistency is more important than time spent.
What about learners who want to improve writing too?
Try writing summaries of podcast episodes or new vocabulary sentences.
That helps reinforce learning and practice grammar.
Do you think podcasts are helpful for all ages?
Yes, everyone can benefit from listening to English podcasts.
From children to adults, podcasts offer flexible learning.
What final message do you want to share with our listeners?
Keep learning every day, be patient, and enjoy the process.
Believe in yourself and remember that practice leads to progress.
Thank you for listening to our series on learning English with podcasts.
We hope you found it helpful and fun.
Please subscribe and share with friends who want to learn English.
See you next time for more English learning content.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing and have a great day.
Bye. Happy learning.